So everybody likes jamming with other people, but what is annoying is when you go out for lunch afterwards and you pay for it and they say they're gonna Venmo you and they never do and you still keep hitting them up and then you never want to jam with them again because it's awkward. So today, we're gonna be jamming with ourselves and talking about some cool tips on how you can play all over the neck, do some cool stuff, get some rhythmic timing in, do all the cool stuff just solo, so that when you do get invited to maybe play with somebody else, you're ready to rock and roll. This video is sponsored by Sweetwater, and specifically this awesome software that they're using called UJam, which we're gonna be using backing tracks and all this kind of stuff. But first of all, we need a little bit of guitar fretboard information. We're gonna do this all in the key of D. And for the first part, it's just gonna be a D major chord in 3 different spots, okay? So everybody knows this D major chord right here. Open D, 2G, 3B, 2 on the high E string. This is a triad. We have 3 different notes to make up a major or a minor chord, all right? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play D major like this for a lot of this, okay? So it's really just an open D, the A on the G string, and the 3rd fret, octave D on the B string here, right? Now the reason I'm gonna do this is because it's gonna put me into a better position to maybe play in between the chords. So let me cue up just like a drum track real quick, and then I'll just play around and then I'll talk about what we're doing here. Okay, so that's just like a super simple way of what we're gonna start out by just jamming with ourselves. Now, what I'm doing here first is kind of announcing the chord, all right? So it's like, and the great thing about having a drum track to just play to is it keeps you in time, right? It's really kind of boring, I think, to play with a metronome, but this is more of kind of like a piece of music that you could jam to. So you can hear that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4, and then you get the downbeat. And maybe you don't have to do anything else. D major. Right? So it keeps you on time, and that's the most important thing, because if you're just kind of sitting around with nothing in the background, you're just noodling. It's like, what are you really training at that point? So again, we've got this first chord, and now we're gonna do the open position stuff in D major. I'm gonna start with the open D string and go open 2, 4, and then the G string, we're gonna play open 2, 4 as well. Okay, so to play the D major scale, it's, all right, so open 2, 4, open 2, 4, 2, 3. Also, you could go open 2, 4, open 2, open B, 2, 3. Okay, those are just the notes of D major. I like fretting the B on the G string 4th fret because you have a little more control, and then it becomes a movable shape. It's like if you were to play in E, you could play it like that, right? But essentially we're just gonna go, and I'm just gonna move around in these shapes while addressing a D major chord on the downbeat, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, D. Okay, so right off the bat, that's just a lot of stuff that you could do in one pretty confined shape, right? I think an important part about learning and really getting something under your fingertips is just doing it ad nauseum until you are for sure knowing exactly where those notes are, front and back, okay? So we're gonna do this, we're gonna take this to another D major chord higher up the neck, okay? This is gonna be, if you think of an A string rooted shape here, maybe like an A major shape, but again, rooted on the D string, so it's 5 on the A string, 7, 7, 7 on the D, G, and B strings, and this really goes well into that position, okay? So we can slide from this chord. I always like to kind of get that E, the 5th fret on the B string, and then move my hand like that. So I think that's a pretty natural way to get into what is a very player-friendly position, right? The nice thing about this spot right here, okay, I think of this as like the bottom half of a D major chord, is it lines up with minor pentatonic, right? Because we always kind of like go practice those minor pentatonic licks over and over again. Like I said, ad nauseum. use your minor pentatonic ad nauseum right here. But the cool thing is we can do the same thing, kind of address it, and then what I like to do actually is think of really just these notes right here, like 5A, 7A, 9A, and then 7, 9, 7, 9, which is really just D major pentatonic. But because we have this symmetrical 2 frets at a time, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, there's so many cool things that you could do. And now you can play it D major like this, or like here, and do the same thing with just these notes. So we'll start again with the backing track. 2, 3, 4. Okay, see, so now that was kind of just going back and forth between that at the end, but I'm really just, like I said, announcing that D major chord, and then just getting all of those notes in some order. But because I have that cool drum track in the back, it's kind of letting me, it's filling the space so I don't have to always rely on playing notes all the time. Take a breather. So again, having those breaks I think is really, really important. I do want to talk a little bit about this software. So UJM has a whole bundle of different things. I'll link you to the master bundle because I want to show off a lot of the instruments and stuff too. It's really like the only plugin bundle like you'll ever need. I'm using it inside of Logic right now. This is the Virtual Drummer Legend. Okay, so you can kind of hear it. Again, this is a loop that I was able to just play using a MIDI keyboard, and I just tracked a note. Now, once you have this on here, you can easily change the groove and the sound of it. So for the sound right here, it's on tight. I can make it wild. I can loosen it up a little bit. Again, there are so many different types, and then you can go within that to change the kick. I can change the groove like that, and now it's giving me a different thing in the same. Again, there's like a million different ways to do this. So whether you're like actually making a song and you just want something to actually put in the song, you can use all this and, you know, put them up online or anything like that. But it's, aside from being just a great songwriting and recording companion, it is such a good practice jam companion, which is kind of like how I'm using it right now, right? I want to talk about the virtual instruments, but I want to do one more chord voicing for D major here, right? So we've got our first D major, our second D major, and then tried and true right here. 10th fret on the B string, 11th fret on the G string, 12th fret on the D string, right? So, now a lot of times this triad shape is something that you'll always see, especially sliding in like that, sliding to the major third first. So I'm sliding in my middle finger to the 11th fret on the G string, and then jumping up to the D on the high E string. And then once you're here, right, 11G, 10B, 10E, you you've got all these little inflections that you can do based around this triad. Okay? And now what I'm thinking is being able to connect these in different forms. Form 1, my pinky can like slide me up into form 2. And then that pentatonic thing can slide me up into form 3. I always have a lead finger connect these dots. So for me, my lead finger here is my pinky to take me to this one. And then for here, it's my ring finger, that hammer on, and then slide from 7 to 9 to 12. Okay, so now I have 3 different D major shapes that I can kind of go back and forth between. So let's bring that track up again. So you can kind of see how having a backing track, whether it's drums or anything else, can really open up so much of your playing. Now, the next thing I want to do is bring up another thing, one of the actual musical instruments. This is probably my favorite part of this UJam software. It's like so good. This is going to be a piano track called Vibe. Okay, so now I'm going to add this. I just have 2 notes that I played. One of them is D, and then it gives me a chord. The cool thing about this is you can actually set the key. See, right now it says key D, or B minor, being the relative minor. So when you just press down a key or input a key in your DAW, as like a single note, this will turn it into a chord, and then put like just a vibe on it, which is why it's called Vibe. So together with the tracks, and it'll tell you what the chord is. So it's a D major, and then we've got a G add 9, right? So now if I wanted to play along with that, I could just play a G or a D and then a G and just kind of vibe with it like that. So D to G. D. G. Now the cool thing about this is you can really easily change the vibe of anything, right? So right now it just says run into harmony. I can go back and forth, make it a funk guitar, and it's still keeping the same chords, right? And now I can just kind of rip over these. Let's change it again. Unpredictable atmosphere. Again, there's a million different things that you could do with it. I want to go back to that first one, but let's change the key so we can kind of see how we can really utilize all these different techniques that we use in a different key. Let's go to to C, right? So the cool thing about this, check this out, listen to this. Okay, you can be like, all right, one of them is minor. My favorite thing about the way this software uses it, you'll take a single note in any key, you set the key, right? So at first is D, I just played a D major, or just a D note. It's like, all right, you're in the key of D, you're playing a D, we'll give you a D major chord for that. But now I changed the key to C. So now it's like, all right, well that D that you inputted is now gonna be a D minor 11. So my favorite thing about this as a practice technique is it will give you extended chords that really change the entire vibe of what you're trying to do, all right? So for this one, now I'm gonna be using a D minor chord to a G major chord, all right? So now, let's start with D minor. So it's 5, 7, 7, 6 in the middle, and that's just gonna go to G major, which, let's talk about some of the stuff we did in the D major part of the lesson, and then now transfer it to G major, okay? So we already have this, which remember we did up here, but now let's do different spots. Like remember when we first found that D chord here? Well, now this, think of the root note being the 3rd fret of the B string. Now it's like, all right, well, here's where can I make this a G? I can walk it all the way up, so it's like D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. Right? So right here on the 8th fret would be where this note is, so. Maybe from here. D minor. So now I'm vibing along with that. So we can do those same things here, and then here, and then here for G major, right? Because again, when in D major's case, it was here, to here, to here, but now I can kind of continue on in a different key, from here, to here, to here, and then anytime that chord is over G major, I can do those moves. Now, we've just been introduced to minor chord here from the Vibe software on UJAM. And what I'm gonna do for there is I'm just gonna go tried and true, straight down into minor pentatonic, D minor pentatonic. So it's the D on the E string, 10, 10, 13, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 13. So you'll see me switch back and forth between those. Every time that the chord says D minor, I'm just gonna play something in D minor land. And then when it goes to G, then I'll start kind of utilizing those little triad moves that we were doing earlier, right? So D minor. G. Again, this software is super cool. So thank you to Sweetwater and UJAM for giving me a license for this. There's an affiliate link in the description. But I really think it's like such a great way to just practice jamming. You don't need to be dependent on another person to come. This is so easy to set up. You literally just, if you have a MIDI keyboard, you can kind of type it in with that. Or I didn't even use that. I actually put this together on an airplane because you can just open up the MIDI roll and then just hit a note and be like, all right, cool. Infinite drum loop, cool, infinite chord progression that you can change. And I think my favorite thing is being able to go into the different types of how it'll just give you like a different kind of pattern. So super, super great practice tool that you can kind of have different patterns and really be able to quickly and easily change them though. So once again, thank you to Sweetwater. Affiliate links in the description. Thanks for checking out. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, or the website, and I will talk to you all soon.